Okay, dear student, now I will let you know how we can fetch record from the external sources. I'm giving the name to our application fetch record, fetch external database record. So external DB record. The first thing you need to do once your application will be loaded successfully, you have to wait until it's not loaded successfully. The first thing you need to do, you need to go to android.manifest and allow your application to access data from the internet. So users permission, and then in the users permission you have to write down android.permission permission.internet internet. So it's mean that your application can get the data from the internet. Now which type of data? So is it picture data or textual data? So I'm just allowing for users clear text traffic. So it's mean that only text data, not a picture data. So this is the one. The next thing we need to do, we need to change our control interface layout from constraint to relative. And then I want that when someone click on the button, then it should get the data. So wrap content height will be wrap content, and button ID will be android.id get data button. So this is, let's say, the button name, get data button, and android text will be fetch data. So where do you want to display? I want to display in the text view. So this way I'm just using here wrap content, and we want to display a JSON data, so I will give the appropriate name, id id equal JSON data text view. So this is what we needed here. Now straight away go back to Android main activity.android, and here I'm writing here button my btn my btn equal to button find view by id r dot id dot button my btn dot set on click listener equal to new click listener. So here what we need, uh, we need to we need the button. So I'm just writing here button my btn equal to button find view by id r dot id dot button, and on the click I will get the data. Set on click listener equal to new view. Now I already declared here one text view control, get JSON text view uh, to display our data. I'm writing here the one class to get the data from the database. So I'm writing here JSON task. JSON task. You can give any name, but this is just a name. Public class JSON task, which will extend the async task class, which need the three parameter param, progress, and result. And I'm just typing here string and a string, which means that we will pass the three different parameter, and if required we can even pass one parameter. Async task class has the one built-in function, so implement that built-in function that is called doing background. So now doing is the background is the function. Now basically whenever you want to access the data from the external sources, in that case First of all, you need to get the URL. So I have already uploaded and we have already discussed all such things. We have here the one department service, department web service.as mx, which will get the JSON data. So let's get data. Click on the get data and invoke, and you can just see we have here the department number 2 BBA, department number 1 BCS, department number 3 DL, so on and so on. You can just see the format. Here we have department ID and department name, department ID and department name. This is basically what we have the format. So keep this URL in your mind, and then I will come back to this URL again. So whenever you want to access any data, you need some, first of all, you need the connection. So I'm just writing here HTTP URL connection, which we need to get the data from the external sources. So first of all, I need to make a connection, establish a connection between our application and between the external JSON data. So I will establish a connection, and the connection name I'm just giving here connection, and initially connection will be null. And then once you will be connected with the external sources, then you need to store data, your data somewhere. So I'm using here buffer reader. You can use the buffer reader to store your data. Buffer reader is a memory object which can hold your data within memory. After that, now basically it is the URL. You can just see here we have the URL. So this URL you want to execute, and then you can get the data. So I'm just declaring here the one URL object, and the name will be URL equal to new URL. And where is your URL? Our URL is basically within this string. So that's str. You can even pass more parameters, dot 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 1 2 3 4 5. So we will pass externally, but right now I'm just writing here as string 0. 0 means that the URL, whatever I'm just passing, that's basically the URL you need to execute. Now it's giving you the one error. Basically you need to press here alt enter and try catch. This code must be within the try catch area. Try catch means that if there is any error, so display that error within the catch area and display my error in the log portion. So now this is what we have in the try catch area. This is the number one. Once you basically this connection, I will come at the end. I will let you know. I will pass the URL from the external on the on click, and which will directly come here. It has a couple of steps. You have to show the patience to complete the application. Now we have to provide the connection information. A connection equal to which type of connection it is. It is basically HTTP URL connection. This is the number one. Now URL dot open connection, and furthermore then we have to use here connection dot connect. So basically we have in this URL we have the URL of this one. We will pass from the externally. So connect with this URL and get the data. It's giving you again error because this also needs a separate try catch area. So alt enter and try catch area. Now we have the one try catch area for. Now we have the two try catch area. If there is an error in the URL, so it will display here. If there is an error in the connection, then it will display here. So now we have the two try catch area. Once you are connected, so you need to get your data. So for getting data, I'm just using here input stream and equal to stream connection dot get input stream, get input stream. So there is the two things I want to display. First of all, discuss that thing input stream with you. So I will go back to project file, uh, evening. So reader and input stream. What is the difference between the reader and input stream? So you can just see input reader. Input reader convert the byte of the stream into character stream. So that's the only purpose of input stream reader. Input stream read will convert your byte data, which is in memory, will convert into character, into English understandable character. Buffer reader will read a couple of characters from the specified stream and store in buffer. And basically, once you have all chunk of the data, you need to store into the buffer to make it faster, to get faster access of that data. So now here we have already declared input stream, which will get all the byte data and will convert into character stream. This is number one. And number second, we need here the reader, which is already declared buffer reader. Now equal to new buffered reader, which we need to pass the input stream. So I'm just writing a new input stream reader. And where is our stream? So we have already stored inside the stream object. So I'm writing here inside the stream. So this is the one more thing. Now we have everything inside the reader. Now from the reader we need to store inside the buffer reader to get the faster access. So I'm writing here a string buffer and your buffer. So my buffer or buffer, you can give any name equal to new string buffer. Now we need to create the string line. I need to combine all these data into the one. So I will loop through all this data. So I'm using here while line is equal to reader dot read line. So read that particular line, and once you read it, if it is not equal to null, so then store inside the buffer. So I'm writing here buffer dot append. Each time you have to add the line inside the line. And finally, I'm just writing here a string final JSON, which is my variable buffer buffer dot to string. So far we get the final JSON. Before going somewhere else, I will first of all verify whether we have we have get the data successfully or not. So I will pass the external parameter link. So from here, what I'm just going to do here on the click event, I'm just writing new, declare the new object of this class, JSON task. So new JSON task dot execute. Execute is a function. Execute is a function as we have already discussed in the slide. We have so inside the parenthesis, now we have to copy this particular link. And paste here. So now this will execute the data and will bring it back to a string here, and it will connect, will convert your data from byte to character reader, will store your data into buffer, and finally you have here your data inside the final JSON. So let's check whether we have the data. If we will have the data, then we will display inside the text view. So I'm using here log.d to display inside the log view before going to display the actual view. So my JSON data, This is my JSON data, and then I'm writing here final JSON. So let's play your application. Make sure you're connected with the internet. Without internet connection, you cannot retrieve your data. So once you run your application, here you can just see right now we have terminal build logcat to do. You all see after a couple of seconds run. So it's giving error on the on click and the null reference. Yes, what is the object name? Get data button. So it should not be button. This should be get id dot get data button. So again you have to stop and play, and inside the run you will see the data. Once your application loaded successfully, you should click on the run and go to the last, and then click on the fetch data. It will, you can just see here my JSON data, department ID 2, BBA department ID 1. So it's mean that we successfully retrieved the JSON data. So now up to now we successfully retrieved the data. Now in the second part of this video, what I will just do, I will break this data into the separate parts. I will separate department ID, I will separate department name, and then I will try to display either inside the text view or either inside the grid view or the list view as per our own choice. If we want to display in the text view, then we need to make a string. If you want to display as a inside the list view or the grid view, then we need to make a array list. So this is part number one. Now part number two, we will all talk about how we can display the same data, how we can split the data and can display inside our control. So far you can just see it's not displaying here inside the control. The reason behind it is what we did here. We displayed inside the log, which is here. We are displaying here.